right. We should be live, I believe. Um, that was stressful. Um, I already had a dream tonight where I woke up and I thought that it's 2 p.m. and I missed the stream and everything. So, all right. And now bitrate is slow. Good. We'll see how it goes. If anything, I can wire myself up. But yeah, if there are any issues, let me know. Then we'll look into wiring up. Otherwise, we'll continue as that. And hello and welcome. This is stream number 1. This is Q&A. We'll do some questions. We'll do some news. So, on some fresh news, of course, we have Russia Today sponsoring conservative streamers and creators, which I think would be an interesting topic to talk about. And we'll go maybe 1 hour, maybe 2 hours. It depends how it goes. Wow, I actually have people watching me live. I had a fear that nobody's gonna connect. So thank you guys for actually connecting up. So we'll start with Patreon questions. And then we'll do YouTube questions. And then, of course, you can always ask questions in the chat. I will reply to the chat questions as well as we go. So we have a question from Patreon. GAH dot. Do you think digital media destroys chances of classic literature being created going forward? Is the next would-be Chekhov or Asimov too busy churning out content to sculpt anything close to the masterpiece? Or if not, it would be even recognized through all the slop? Finally, does it matter? Is culture better? Because we can adore so much good art from so many perspectives, and every day there's a new ephemeral badge. So yeah, sorry guys, I have like a big trouble reading things. Like it doesn't look like of course like it's hard to say, but it's really hard for me to read things out loud from the text. Well, that happens, you know. But anyway, the question. I do think that the classical literature will be created. I think the process will be different, of course, because now we have internet. I think it will be way harder. It will be way harder for masterpieces to go through, but the ones that, and then it's also for us as users, it's hard to say what is a masterpiece in any given moment because we just have so much information and so much media going forward. But I think it's still possible. I think there is still a lot of great creators who are writing and who are putting out both fiction and nonfiction. Actually, we see a rise in fiction popularity through TikTok and book talk. Is it exactly always good literature that is advertised there? That's a hard question. But we'll see. Anyway, like I think it's still possible. We'll see definitely classical literature being created in our time. It will take maybe 30, 40 years until we realize what is slop and what is actually good. But eventually we'll get there. So that was question number 1. And then we have 2 questions in the YouTube section. Let me pull those up. And tea time. Okay. So questions from the YouTube section. So we have Filon Kjavik asking thoughts on ubiquity of microplastics and brain infiltrating nanoplastics. Not sure if this is too broad of a question, but feel free to approach it however you'd like. I love this question. I think this is a great question about microplastics. I've recently been going deep into things like channels like Telegram and Discord. I've been specifically looking into a lot of left-wing and right-wing memes. And there is this very popular meme currently, especially in the French forums, where it's like a food pyramid, but food pyramid has microplastics at the bottom, and then it has like different layers of stuff and antidepressants at the top. So I think the microplastics didn't just enter our body, they also entered our discourse. It's like, obviously it's bad. Like the fact that we have plastic in everything, in our food, in our bodies. Like there is this website, I believe, that tracks microplastics found in whatever, really. So we have microplastics in the brain, we have microplastics in our bodies, we have microplastics in fish, in plants, in body organs, in bloodstream, and then nobody likes it, everybody thinks it's bad, and then we just move on. We just move on with our life with the fact that microplastic is everywhere. I don't think like there will be any solution to the problem with microplastics in the close future. And then even if it will be, just scientifically speaking, I don't think it's necessarily, it will be better than the presence of the microplastics, because if there is a bacteria that breaks down and eats microplastic at fast rate, that would also mean that none of your medical plastics are safe now. Like it will be a big problem for medical field. But anyway, try to eat less of microplastic. That's the only advice I can tell you, is like try to eat less of it. I don't think it's healthy. I don't think it's good in our bodies. I don't think there's a way to avoid it specifically. Yeah, that's the answer to that question about microplastics. And then the second question that we have from YouTube, and then I'll move to the chat questions after that. Do I enjoy to talk to, this is Rob Khrushchev. So, do you enjoy talking to strangers online? Are there platforms you prefer to engage with other people on? And are there any of your, any that you have learned to avoid? Please keep up the good work. Thank you. So I do enjoy talking to strangers. I, however, do not like social media. I nuked all of my social media about year and a half ago. I used to maintain Reddit still until about last month when I nuked that too. You can write me an email. I will reply to the emails. I prefer, not exactly like, I'm fine with online communication and everything like that, but I prefer more interpersonal connection. So I have email on my YouTube page, and I will reply to the emails that you write to me. So I actually quite enjoy that, so feel free. Other than that, like social media, I deleted all of that because it wasn't specifically good mentally for me. I don't think it's good mentally for everybody. I think also because I was on the internet since about like early 2000s, when I was a young teenager. And internet was a different space compared to now. And social media, early social media in 2010s was oriented towards communicating with people that you already know. And that was quite pleasing. And then eventually it turned into communicating with people that you don't know. And then now it turned into pretty much straight content. So if I go to my, say, Instagram page, I don't see pictures of my friends anymore. I see just algorithmically optimized memes. Not a big fan of that, so I deleted all that. I don't like, especially I don't like any visual social media like Instagram or Facebook. I don't think you should be looking and orienting your life against the strangers. I absolutely despise Twitter. I don't think anybody should be on Twitter, even though it is fun in a way. I think it is highly toxic. I don't think it helps anybody to live their life and have a better life. So therefore, no social media for me. I will, however, reply to online strangers that give me like they send me an email, and if I like stumble across people online in some way, like I don't have any problem with that too. So yeah, those were all pre asked questions. Uh, oh yeah, don't talk to strangers unless it's a random internet person. Exactly. uh, yeah, and it's hard when you don't hear the reaction for sure. Okay, let's go over the chat and let's see if there are any questions there. Hmm. Perhaps you can get those shitty Norwegian to pay you $400,000 a month to discuss fishing boundaries. Uh, well, I don't think I'm qualified even with any. Though, if you pay me money, I'll talk about anything. You know, like I'm fine with that. Like I can, We'll get into that later about the creators being paid for propaganda. Though I have like some borders, but like if it goes within like my borders of interest, like I will not shill for any government. But fishing boundaries, sure. Uh, Okay, and then we have, what is your educational background? Are you a PhD student? No, I don't have money for PhD students. So how that works is I did study in Russia. I was in medical field. I immigrated to Canada. When I immigrated to Canada, I had to restart education. And then I had to also work full time, which is like a typical story for an immigrant. You know, like your parents work, you work, everybody works. So that's exactly what happened. So I did finish, my education is actually in health science, and I did, after that, I did health ethics. And after that, I went straight to work, and I work in food industry because, you know, it pays money. I would love one day maybe to go like deeper into education. But the like and I love it. Like I pretty much what I do for the videos often is citizen research. I did research when I was in university, but it like it will take me out of the you know like out of work. This is one thing, and I have to work to maintain things running. You know, to maintain my life and things like that. So I have to work. And then on top of that, I can't just go straight to education. This is like one thing. And then second thing is like if I go for education, I have to pay for it, right? So it's purely financial, unfortunately for me, because I would love to go higher into education. Um, mm, all right. What else do we have? Bring back email. Yeah, I'm a big fan of emails actually. Like I think this is a great form of communication as far as internet goes because you can send it to anybody. It can be as long as you want. Uh, and then, well, like the thing is, if you send it to strangers, they might find it weird and not return your reply. But in general, I believe this is a great form of communication online. uh, what do you think about Alberta politics? As a Calgarian, it has an endless capacity to make me lose my faith in humanity. Oh, oh well. That's a great question. Um, so for those who are outside of Alberta, our prime minister, provincial minister, is kind of, how would I describe her? Probably the closest you can get to Trump in America within Canadian context. And except like she's obviously a woman, so like it's it has a Canadian, it's MAGA, but with Canadian flair. I think about it quite a bit. I'm actually more involved in provincial politics and municipal politics. Specifically, I like municipal politics. I find it my level because I volunteer on that level. Um, I do not like Danny, of course. I find it really unfortunate that Alberta conservatism is has been turning more towards this Trumpism direction from its original roots. So we'll see how it goes. Of course, I don't foresee it going like anywhere more liberal or anywhere close to the left in any way because that's that's Alberta, Texas of Canada. Okay, nice views though. You know, uh, I still enjoy living here, but yeah, politics here is something special. Mm. Okay, how do you compare learning and working in Russia versus Canada? Um, well, I prefer Canada. That's why I'm here. So I do have passport here. So I have double passport, and I have strong preference for Canada for many reasons. I only worked in Russia when I was young, right? So I never had what would I say? Like I never had like a job the same way I have a job now. So I have somewhat of a career in a way. So I never had anything like that back in Russia. I found working there being quite a bit more stressful. Um, People are different. Of course, Russia is its own has its own mentality. Uh, but also on the other side, sometimes in Canada, if you are like either studying or learning, it's what do I say? The system is like more robust in a way. Like so, it's like hard. Like for example, if when I was studying in Canada, it's harder to find mentorship because even if you study while there is so many students that uh, everybody studies well. Like there is like you're studying good, and then there is like 50 people who are better than you. So in that way, like you're never gonna get any sort of mentorship out of it unless you really try to push through it. Versus when I was studying in Russia, it was uh, more like if you would do good in school, there would be more people who would be willing to mentor you just because of who you are. But work-wise, Canada strongly preferred. Do you ever feel you're on the verge of getting another cat but have to talk yourself out of it? Oh well, true story. When we were getting the third cat, so like how it went was the story goes like this. So I have this bigger, fluffier cat, like the white cat that you see on my videos. So we got him back in 2016, I think. He was like from the hoarding situation. So we got him in 2016, and he's gorgeous cat. He is super aggressive though. He would bite my feet. He would pee on my bed. He would behave like in the most unhinged ways possible. And eventually we moved to Alberta. We moved to a bigger place, and the advice was given to if you want your cat to behave better, get a second cat. Uh, so that's what we did. And the older cat started to just bully the little cat. So instead of now bullying me, he would just bully that little kitten. After which we waited about like 8 months, and then we went in and we were like, well, we have to, like, I didn't want to like return the cat back to the shelter. I was like, well, we'll get another cat. Uh, that's a solution. You get you keep getting more cats, and I hope that they will like level each other's personalities. And when we went there, I had a moment because we have like all three of the cats are male, and then there was like this calico cat that was just so like just she was like so fluffy and so pretty and so like handy, and she like sit on my lap, and I was like, oh my god, we're getting the fourth cat. We're getting fourth cat now. It's like the full house is gonna be all cats. Um, and then eventually, like we went home, and then I slept on it, and I was like, okay, no, I have to stop at some point because like it's not exactly healthy on them, and it's harder. The more cats you get, the harder it is to maintain the healthy environment for them. But right now, all three are leveled out. I think like we have the man here. Yeah. That's the orange one. Everybody's favorite is joining our stream. What? Here. Here we go. This is the youngest one. So he is the youngest one. He's orange, very typical orange behavior. Look in the camera, sir. Here. Typical orange behavior, but he's been leveling out the other two. The older cat has less aggression issues, and then the smaller cat has more free time of not being harassed. Oh, your writing and humor style is so fun in your videos. Thank you. What inspires your witty sense of humor? I don't know. It's always been like this. Sort of. I have this sarcastic sense of humor ever since I was a kid. I think in a way that was like because I was into chemistry and biology since I was a kid, and I was like all these sciencey kids have like this sort of sense of humor, at least in my environment. That was the thing. So I just keep it going. Oh, another Canadian politics question. What do you think of Jagmeet's power move of relinquishing the one mini lever of power he had for zero gains? Am I reading it wrong? I've heard different opinions. I have obviously my opinion. Some people say that it's good for him in a way, like it gives NDP political power in Parliament in Canada. I don't necessarily like it because pretty much what he did is like now we have a two-party system. So now we have liberals in orange, and conservatives. And also, I think it will mean that in the next election he will lose seats, because if people vote for liberals, like why would they vote for liberals in different color? Is your preference of working in Canada related to wages or something else? I have no sense of the work culture in Russia. Well, it's in general like well, how would I describe it? Like, let's say like this. So when I was in Russia, I was closer to the medical field. I worked in the hospital. I worked in sanitation team. I worked in vet clinics. It was like mostly like student jobs. So it was like I was like in the lower level while I was going into study. The environment there in medical field is like extremely harsh. Like it's harsh everywhere. Of course, it's hard to be a doctor. It's hard to be a nurse. It's hard to be in emergency room, like like when you see like traumatic events and everything like that. So it affects people's mentality, and not in a good way. But on top of that, it's like the problem of Russia. Like, well, it has a lot of problems, but one of the problems is corruption. So if you are in the workplace, it's like it always exposes you to like either the bribes or bribing, or like it's hard to like do things in a way of just doing them. Like nothing is just done. There is like always and like politics, money involved, things like that. Versus working in Canada, I can just like I get the job. I know my responsibilities. I clock in, I clock out, and I get paid. And then if I do my job well, then eventually I will like somewhat progress or change my position, which I sort of like try to do. That's why I keep working, because I do like a lot of data analysis in my work and things like that, and I don't dread it. I find it fun, and then it's nice when it's getting recognized. Oh god, we have a comedian in the chat. Oh. Why did you move to Canada? Do you feel your Russian background makes you get treated differently sometimes? Well, my parents moved, so I was like an interesting case. So my family immigrated, and I was like a child, but I was already, and like I was a very old child when that happened. So my parents moved, I moved too. I had this, so that was, for the context, that was 2012. And what was happening in Russia in 2012 was Medvedev was replaced by Putin. So that was the only Russian president who was not Putin in this period was Medvedev. So the return back to Putin kind of indicated politically to a lot of people that uh, Russia now has like a dictatorship of sorts, that there is no political alternative and no end in sight. There were a lot of protests. There were things like that. I'm not from Moscow, by the way. I'm from small town, so I never. There was like no window of participation in anything for me. There was like, but the movement was kind of happening, and at that time, I was there, and I was thinking that maybe I will stay because like my then boyfriend, now my husband, was in Russia. Like all my life was there. I was in school, like halfway through med school. So I had an idea that my family is gonna move, and I'm going to stay. So eventually, when after that like election cycle, like we moved into winter, and I wasn't particularly happy with the education I was getting in terms of quality. It was like because it's like a small town school, like so it didn't really satisfy my interests in a way. So I was kind of getting too far ahead of myself, and then it wasn't really recognized in the well, it was recognized, but like there was no resources at the level where I was for me to continue studying at the level where I wanted. The movement in Russia was suppressed. Political movement was suppressed. And then political leader was murdered, and I was like, well, the window of possibility is open. That's my parents were already here. I got accepted back then into Prince George, into university because I applied. I was like, well, maybe I'll go, maybe I will not go, but I will apply. But by that time, I knew that Prince George accepted me and my family was here. And then I just immigrated. So that's how it worked out. I have no regrets. Knowing like the news. I don't need to tell you. Like Russia is not the best place to be currently, especially if you do anything related to political work. That's not the place to be. Let's say. Mm. Especially like I'm from the south, so like I'm from the border region. You don't want to go there. Nothing good happens there. Uh, and Do people treat me differently based on the Russian background? Um, well, only in a good way. Actually, I would say that I've been here for like what? It's like almost 12 years now. So good. It's fine. Like people find like it interesting, obviously, because I have like a mixed background. But the like it's good. I can't complain. Like people find it interesting. They ask questions. Ever since war started, I get a lot of uncomfortable questions about war. I don't really like talking about it. Not in the sense that it's like I have opinions, but it is also a pretty triggering topic because I have family in Russia and I have family in Ukraine, and I'm from the border region where the war is actually happening. It's not the best topic to discuss, let's say. Uh, have you seen any Romanian new wave movies? If so, do you see similarities between life in Romania and in Russia? Uh, I'm not I'll say I'm not big into movies. I'm absolutely illiterate to when it comes to movies. I historically have been reading a lot. Fun fact: I was raised with no TV, so I still have no TV, and I don't really watch things. So I would either read or I like to play games, but I don't really watch anything. However, do I find similarities between modern life in Romania and in Russia? To some extent. I think it's like it has a big cultural overlap. Obviously, all the Slavic countries are, they have a serious the vibe to them, and a lot of my friends here would actually be and the people I connect well with would be surprisingly from Romania. Uh, so I have deep appreciation for Romanian food and people because a lot of them are my friends here. So that has been nice. All right, any more questions, or should we move into news? Uh, we'll be looking into Russia today sponsoring I kind of like I've seen the news sort of, but I wanted to look specifically, and I think like on the news, a lot of people would be like concentrating on Tim Pool. It's very interesting that like between all the people on the right wing, like in that group, I don't remember what their name is, like, but there is like Dave Rubin and Lauren Southern, who are for me way let's say like way bigger caliber of political figures, and somehow Tim Pool is our our current popular person, the guy who is like, well, I have a lot of opinions about him, but we'll look into them. Uh, do you think feminism is in a better place now than 20 years ago globally? Um, Not necessarily. I think like well, it depends. Like if you look on the global level, there has been a back roll in women's rights, of course, in U.S. even in U.S. And like I understand that sometimes people, in especially in America, they don't really think about the influence of American politics worldwide. But like when the the capital state uh, of your empire, like the center of the empire, is removing reproductive rights, it is very noticeable to everybody. And we see, of course, a return on child marriage, and during COVID, there was a increase in poverty, and any increase in poverty also negatively affects women's rights. So in feminism as like a in practical sense, like I think has not been in a better place. Ideologically, maybe I think like there are like a more productive ideas being expressed currently compared to like say 10 15 years ago. Like I think it also is because there are more practical issues, like nobody is like talking about well, people are talking about like in a sense about like what do I say, like the things like like this like liberal feminism, right? Like, oh, like we need more girl bosses, we need police to be like half of our soldiers need to be women. So there is less of that, and there is like more actual practically applicable ideology happening. So that's good. I think that will be nice. Uh, do. I find your videos interesting but not approachable for people that have not read the source material. Yeah, I struggle with that. So the problem is like I always look at the video and I think like should I explain everything and make it 2 hours long, or should I like shrink it and try to put it in under an hour, which I've been trying to do. But the downside of it is that like you have to be often like deeper into the context to understand what I'm saying, which is a yeah. That's something I'm thinking about how to resolve that. I don't have any good solution yet because I don't really like 2 hour long videos. I don't plan to make them unless something changes in my opinions. What books do you feel most influenced your ideology? I read like quite a bit, but like I would say like most influential thinkers would be probably Eric Fromm. I think like this is like my and like Henry Hesse. I don't know how to say his name in English, but between those two, I think those had been like the most influential writers that affected me. I'm also like I like some anarchist literature. I don't have like I read a lot of it, but I don't have specifically like favorite there. But yeah, like in thinking sense, I think Fromm is like my. I read all of his work. I've been a big fan since like teenage years, and a lot of my political interest also stems from the. Ever since I'm like 18, I've been really interested in the topic of war and incarceration. So I read a lot of like Eric Maria Remarque. I read like whole remark collection. I think that was like an introduction to the topic. I read a lot of books in Russian about the concentration, sorry, not the concentration camps, but like gulags and prisons, and I currently still read. And then Fromm has a lot of work that is adjacent to the Second World War. So that's my interest in his work and his influence on me. All right, Tim Pool. Let's see. Because I really specifically wanted to look into the how Lauren Saturn ended in there. So that's my particular interest there, because of all the people I always thought of. I know they're all right wing figures. Just for anybody who doesn't know, like so we have right wing company Tenet that has been supposedly sponsored by Russia Today. What is their name? Tenet, not Tenant, Tenet. Because I've always thought of Lauren Saturn, even though being a right-wing media figure, she's been pretty resistant to any external influence. Like she's a person of her own right. Like she did documentaries, she did journalism, which even though it is, of course, I disagree with a lot of it, but she did she did try to put effort into there, and she didn't sell out for a long time. So I was surprised to see her there yesterday, because I didn't follow her for some time. Also, for those who don't know, she is Canadian too. So she's from Canada. I suppose she's in US now. Like all Canadian conservatives eventually end up in US. What? We aren't sending our best. Dare I say. What is my relationship like with my father? Well, it's good. I don't know, like it's like I understand maybe it's a joke question just to relate it to Fromm, because Fromm is like related to Freud. But yeah, it's good. I have a very loving family. I can't complain. My parents have been very supportive of my channel, actually, and of anything I do in my life. So yeah, like it's like they were like, and they are strict parents in a way, but they are also very supportive. So whenever I try to go on the new endeavor, they would also always support me, and the same with my husband. So I'm blessed in that way, that I have a family that supports me wherever I go. Wherever I drag them, they go with me. It was a Frommian slip. Yeah. Yeah, so Tenet Media. Fearless voices live here. Can I, let's try my my setup. Wow. I try to set transitions. Good work, Anna. Wow, nice. All right. Okay. So, this is the company, Tenet Media. We have Lauren Saturn, Dave Rubin, Tim Pool, and then 3 guys who I don't know. I have no clue about them, but for me, I found it specifically interesting because Dave Rubin was very, very prominent and influential, let's say, about 10 years ago. Like, intellectual dark web, Rubin Report was extremely popular. He had really high caliber guests there. And the same with Lauren Saturn. Like, Lauren did documentaries. She like went to, wasn't it like, I think like, when did she go to South Africa? She went to South Africa to do a big, almost like movie size journalist work on like the black-white relationship over there. 2018. So 2018, she goes to South Africa. and then she ends up with this guy's. uh, I don't know how she ended up in there. We'll try to investigate that. But of course, all six, especially I think Tim Pool in that context has been highlighted because he is a very what would I say? Like I wouldn't say like he is specifically pro Russian in the war sense, like in war, yes, but like in the wider context, he is more anti-American than he is pro-Russian. So, yeah, that's interesting. We're gonna look into Lauren in a minute. But as far as Tim Pool goes, like I'm not gonna pull like clips because I'm not ready for anything. Because I said I'm gonna sit here and I'm gonna look into that. I obviously Tim Pool, like I don't even cross Tim Pool that much in my research and the videos I make because his work is basically just like gibberish. So he goes in and he does reactions and then he says the most typical conservative rants like that you can imagine. He'll be like, "Oh, this trans people are bad. Women should go to the kitchen. I should be gifted a girlfriend." So it's like the most basic stuff. So like for me, it's surprising that he is like the most prominent figure. Maybe it is in part because he is like the easier person to criticize. Like it's easy to criticize the work that is basically just like garbage. You know, you just come in and you say, Tim is a loser. His work is garbage. Yes. Okay. Oh, interesting. I would be surprised if this kind of thing worked by Saturn at all being approached by the FSB agent with a big bag of money. Maybe, but the surprising thing is like she didn't make, as far as I know, let's Google her a little bit. As far as I know, she didn't release any. I would expect her to like release a really large piece of work on Russia, right? Like I would expect her to like if it was like Lauren Saturn that I expect, and if she was paid, I would expect her to go to either Ukraine or Russia and like make like a 2 hour long thing out of it. We'll see like where is her I'm at her channel now just to like I'm trying to see if she's let me see. Like there is no I'm not gonna watch it. I'll spare you. Like she makes quite a bit of videos of like about Canada, but she doesn't really specifically talk about Russia. So maybe nobody approached her yet. You know, maybe that's the question. Maybe that's the thing. Maybe nobody paid her yet. Maybe the deal was not done. But that's very interesting. And I want to see when she was signed with them. Like when did she join Tenet? I keep saying Tenet because Tenet is the company that makes like floor scrubbers. But no, Tenet. Let's see. Lauren Saturn joins Tenet. Now it's like hard to find any information because it's all news about the company being sponsored by Russia. And I don't think like there is like a little bit of a discussion if the happening online if people like Tim Pool were specifically paid to do things. I'm actually on the team that I don't think he was paid to say what he is saying because like it's how Russian propaganda works. It's well, there's like many ways, but like Russia has a really big propaganda machine that works inside and the country and abroad. And then whenever they try to sponsor people that will, people that already are saying things that they want. So the thing is, they will not like go to somebody, like I would say think that maybe they would go to Lauren Sutter and say like, hey, like we'll sponsor your project. So the thing that you want to do, we'll sponsor that. And it's the same, in my opinion, with Tim Pool, because I have very low opinions about Tim Pool. If you didn't notice, like I don't think he's like particularly of a thinking personality. But Lauren Saturn kind of is. So like for me, like if it was like the difference is like Tim Pool, you just like give him money to like go on and do what he does, versus Lauren Saturn, you can sponsor her actual project if she wants to go. But I don't see any work done. Or maybe it's not released yet, or maybe deal was not strike. So I guess we'll never know, or we'll know once the court is going into action. So we'll see. Oh, he's got Tim Pool must remove his beanie in court of law. Oh, that would be interesting. I wonder if he's gonna put something under that beanie, or he's gonna protest, because there is like a video of him at the protest where like a protester pulls his beanie off, and then he like loses it. Like he's like, which is like very obvious. Like I mean, like he's like what? Like I think like he's like maybe younger than I am. Like or in like it might be older. I don't know. Is he like close to like 35? Let's see. Yeah, he's a little older. So like he's 38. So yeah, like he's like a 40-year-old guy. Like that's like my biggest problem with Tim Pool as like the like that's why I don't like his content, because it's like you're like almost 40 and you're making content like you're like 18. Like that's like the beanie. Like he tries to like pretend that he's not bald, but like he's a 40-year-old guy. Like it's fine. Like it's just like a thing that like happens when you age. Like you're gonna lose your hair and get wrinkles, and then eventually you die. But like the thing is, it's like it's fine. But like he has such a hard time accepting the fact that that he is not like 18 anymore, and that shows in his content. Like his content is very juvenile. Like it's very easy to digest. Like and like why he also has like a rock band and does like skating, and he wears a beanie. It's like God, disappointing, let's say. And then he started advice, maybe. Here's how to wear the toupee. Oh God. Am I familiar with the book by Thomas More, Utopia? I don't know. How does the now that I remember. I don't think so. No. Primarily, like, book is a frame of narrative of depicting fictional island. No, not familiar with this one, but sounds like down my alley sort of thing. There's a lot of books. Like it's like it's hard to. I'll put a note so I can read it. But like it's hard to read everything that even I want to read, and then every time I read something, people will like throw me recommendations, and they are nice recommendations. So hopefully I'll get to that. I'm writing down. Sorry. Okay. What do I have? Yeah. Oh, in regards to like, I wanted to add a little bit to Russian propaganda, because the thing is, I did last video on Christian nationalism, and I'm making the next video on the manosphere. So I still have I keep a track of like several clusters of Telegram pages which are on the far right, and the narrative there is very different from the mainstream narrative, right? So like currently you have obviously like people, there's like two things. So one thing is people would say, oh, this is psyop, right? So all this is like an undercover operation. None of these people were actually sponsored. They are pretty much just tossed under the bridge because what they're saying is true, and what everybody else is not. Like what everybody else is saying, like mainstream media, is obviously lying. So they're trying to kind of deface all these people on the right, by associating them with Russia. So this is one thing. But second thing is very important to understand about how Russian propaganda has been working for now and ever since it kind of like ramped up in early 2000s is that the idea here is not always to promote a particular idea, but rather to make people unsure of information. Pretty much convince people that everything is a lie. Because if you think like, oh, these conservative guys are presumably paid by Russia. And then you say, oh, well, then maybe like all the people I listen to, I'm also paid by somebody else. So that's the main idea there. So whenever schemes like that are getting disclosed, it's not necessarily bad for the Russian propaganda machine. Actually, it's pretty good because it saws this like idea of uncertainty in information that you read. Anna, you're too polite of a host. We need more rage. It's very hard to make me lose it. Like it's I'm not I'm a pretty chill person, and then I work with a lot of like I work in the industry that's really fast, like very quick. So I deal with a lot of stress daily, and I just have like a very thick shell for it. Like it's like, and then the thing is also like I look into these far right people all the time. So it's hard for me to like rage at something that I've seen people like far like the channels that I follow are considering Tim Pool to be like alt-right, like he's like a kind of like a loser lefty for them. Like they think Nick Fuentes of all people is like a shill, so they don't treat Nick Fuentes as a real person either. So yeah, very hard to like once you deal with that, like it's very hard to make you rage on Lauren Saturn, things like that. It's like, yeah, whatever. She's just a Canadian thing. What else do we have? When you go to go troll in here. Yeah, I wish I could get paid for my opinions that align with Russian interests and also for my opinions which are against Russian interests. To be the Nesserif online. Yeah, that would be nice. Wouldn't it be nice if somebody paid me to shill for something? Oh, God. That would be a blessing. Maybe then I would like stop relying on my Patreon money. Yeah, but like it's actually like a lot of I would not be surprised that if like this court case goes through, there is gonna be a lot more. And I also like in a way like I understand that there are a lot of creators are susceptible to that. So like we have leftist creators that will be susceptible to China. Like we have somebody like, let's say like Second Thought, which I don't oppose in any way. I think it's like a fine channel, but like this is an exact channel that would be susceptible to payment from a different country to produce some sort of content. Oh, Tim Pool is entertaining because he can't maintain a facade of professionalism that someone like David Rubin can. That's true. Yeah, maybe this is like his, like, in a way, even though it irritates me and I don't find it appealing, maybe people do find him appealing exactly for that reason, that he is like a very easygoing, like juvenile personality. Are there any creators that I watch regularly? Quite a bit. Let's go over my list. I'll tell you. I'll give you recommendations. Okay, how about that? So the where is my? Let me see if I have like my. God, I'm so technologically challenged. I'm so sorry. Here I go. So there are like I'll go like there are like people who I find extremely like like obviously I very like Philosophy Tube. Actually, I didn't discover Natalie until about I think a year ago. Like I was like way into like video essays and making my own channel already because I have this weird belief that anything mainstream I don't like. So it takes me like a couple of months to like stew on the idea that I'm gonna watch somebody who has a lot of subscribers. So I very like Natalie. In terms of like anarchist channel, I like Anarch and Andrewism. I think they're really good. I think if you're interested in like anarchist theory and ideas, they are one of the best in terms of entertainment and quality. Then who else? Like of like big names. I have like small names, but also like big ones. Oh, I also like Sisyphus 55. Sisyphus 55 is also a Canadian guy. Very good work. I like him. Folding Ideas. Oh, another Canadian. Look at me, just like advertising you. Canadian creators, okay? Folding Ideas, really good as well. Um, Horses, though Horses is more like it's like creative, less political. I like that too. Um, Jacob Geller. I'm a big supporter of Jacob Geller's work. I really like it. It's mostly on like mix of video essays and video games, but I love his work. Who else of like big names? Um, well, I have like a lot, but like I'm trying to like separate the people who I really whose work kind of influences mine in a way. Um, the Yeah, and lately I've been like a very big fan of um, like the it's like a smaller channel. We're in Hell, so I've been following Sam for quite some time. But I think he puts out really good work. Also, not a Canadian creator. So look at me go. I've been advertising you Canadian YouTube scene. Okay. What is your zodiac sign? I think English name is Aries. Yeah, Aries. Yeah. I'm born in April. Okay. So yeah. Pretty. I mean, I don't really believe in astrology, but pretty typical Aries if you read it. My mom calls me the ram. If I don't do something, that's what she'll say, because like that's kind of like the character that I have. That like I do not really do things that I don't want, and then the things that I want to do, I do them anyway. Like it doesn't matter how stupid the idea is. How long did it take you to reach 10,000 subscribers? Oh God. So YouTube hides me. Like I'm the YouTube's best kept secret. It took me 2 years to get to the 10,000 subscribers, and even with that, like I would say, like my last video was, because I can see inside, like I can see on the inner, like the studio, I can see what videos are recommended, like which videos is my video recommended with, and still like it's like 10,000 subscribers. I'm like still in the zone of like cars, you know. I'm getting my videos put on like car videos and music videos and things like that for the last 2 years. So it took 2 years. I expect maybe another 1-2 years, but it's been like, for me it's been fine. Like I don't. It's a big volume of work, in a way, but I don't really mind it. I'm financially stable because I work. My husband works, so I can support the channel. Like I can do this for a long time without a need to like churn content, which I don't want to do. So that's been good. That's why like I'm a a big opponent of the idea that sometimes you would see people who are like, oh, I did like my video hit like 3,000 and I quit my job and now I'm a YouTuber. Don't do that. Not a good advice. Mm. Oh, thank you. I'm smart and you like my channel. Great, thank you. The Did I encounter overzealots? Not yet. Let's see. Whoops, I need to copy the name. Whoops. Over. Huh. Interesting. Oh, it's a small channel. It's 2,000 subscribers. Looks good. Looks interesting. I'll put it on my note for myself. I'm not a big fan of like. By the way, I'm not a big fan of like thumbnails like this, like the. Oh, you don't see that. Like this. I have a personal, like I don't know, like it's just a personal preference. I don't like the thumbnails, like the catchy thumbnails. Though they are like they are work. Maybe that's why my channel is taking 2 years, okay? Because like I just like refuse to follow this like template of like a thumbnail with just like me in the middle and then like a thing and then yellow text that says like something something. I don't know. Like I don't like those thumbnails, so I don't make them. Maybe that's the problem. Okay. Mm. Oh, galleries go. Yeah, I love his work, and a lot of the topics that he does um, are like down my alley. Like made that video on like torture. It's like those are like the things I'm interested in, so I really like it. Dr. Fatima. Yeah, I watch Dr. Fatima quite. I watch all of her stuff. I like it. It's for those like who are not aware of her. Dr. Fatima is like social political critique and science combined. I love that a lot. Did I watch the Dead Internet video of We're in Hell? I started. So I started watching it yesterday. It's 2 hours. That's why, like, the thing is, like, the reason I don't want to make 2 hour long videos is because I understand that most of the people don't have that much time to watch, or you watch it on the second screen, which is also fine, but like, to, what do you call it, like 2 hours, I need to either be cooking something to watch it, or like cleaning, or I'll be watching it over the course of the next 2 weeks. So yeah, but I started. But I like his work a lot. Like I think he has like a lot of like the topics are very interesting, and content is very in depth. What do you call areas in Russian? It's oven, but the ram is different. Like my mom doesn't call me oven. My mom calls me baran, which is like a ram. So it's not like a fancy word. It's like literally like like you're like the ram, because they are like, like, yeah, I don't need to explain, like it's like National Geographic now. The rams are hitting the head on each other when they're like in the main season. Oh, the scientific basis of astrology. Interesting. Will it change my mind about astrology being just like, I don't know, like a well, I don't exactly think it's like wrong, because like there might be something about like being born in a particular season, I would say, like, because obviously like if you're in summer, for example, like if especially in Canada, like kids whose birthdays are in February have very different way of celebrating birthdays than kids that are in like July. I guess that has some effect, but like I'm not a big believer into astrology. Are you neurodivergent by any chance? I don't like, what did I say? Like, it's not exactly like I don't bother with the fact of ever diagnosing myself. Let's do like this. So I have like things which I know are typical of my behavior. Like I get like frustrated in the places which are too loud. I don't like being in a place unless I like metal. Like I actually go to music concerts and I like metal concerts, but I have to like premeditate to go there. But generally, I don't like loud sounds. I have trouble reading out loud things which are on the text. But like I never bother diagnosing myself. It's also like another thing. Like with like if you are like an immigrant, like if you have like your immigrant parents who are like, well, you're not depressed. You're just like, well, not exactly. That's not what they say. They don't say that you're depressed. Like not depressed. What they say is like, kind of, I don't care, like go to work, sort of thing. So that's how my vibe has been for my whole life. So I just don't specifically care about like diagnosing myself, nor do I have the capacity to. Like maybe like this is like I'm like in like going to middle 30s, and this is like first part of my life where I'm like in a financially stable position to even like think about things like that. But I do think that if you have capacity to like diagnose yourself and like work with therapy and work on yourself, like you should. Like that, whatever I say is not like, it's not to discourage anybody. Just like my life has been like this. But if you feel like there is like something in the field of psychology and psychiatry that will make your life better, you should definitely investigate that area. Most everyone diverts from the norm. Oh yeah, so I have like I have an idea for video. Maybe I'll eventually make it like maybe next year. But basically idea of like this like mental, and somebody did recently like very similar video, but I don't remember who that was, like on mental disease and capitalism and current state of society. Like it's very hard to be normal. Whoops, that's what you get. It's very hard to be normal in a world that is abnormal. Like you it's like very hard to keep it together when the world is falling apart. So like it's um, in a way, like there's like environmental factors, genetic factors that affect any sort of neurodivergency, and if environmental factors exert enough pressure on you, like how can you be how can you be normal in the world that is on fire? Um, mm. It's a really shame they're paying Tim instead of me. Yeah, they could pay me. Imagine, I speak Russian. They can pay me in rubles. I'll take that. Instead, they're paying Tim in dollars. Oh, and I could support Russian currency. Somebody write Putin up. My pockets are open. I'm obviously joking. I'm not gonna chill for Russian government. Um, Oh yeah, just don't stand too close to the mosh pit. Oh yeah, so I have like well, I have to be at the front. Okay, like so like the I'm not jumping into the mosh pit anymore. I'm past that point of my life. My husband still does though. So like I have to like accompany him in that area. So usually I prefer to be like in the front of the mosh pit, like closer to the scene. That's like my preferred place of spot. Though I'm getting too old for that too. Like last time I was, I think in the I was at the Slipknot concert in Edmonton. It was like last year, and I think that was like the first time when I was like, oh, I'm not 20 anymore. I can't do that anymore. And I was like in the front of the mosh pit. The concert was great, by the way. Like concert was amazing, even though the guys are like a little older now. Like they're like into their like 40s, 50s. Like they rock. Like it was just like amazing. That was easily the best concert I ever went to. So I was in the front of the mosh pit, and at some point, I was like, after like I think like mid concert, I was like, well, I either have to get out or I'm gonna just like run out of air, and like flop. So that was like the first time where I had to uh, actually like move, and then like I think a year later we went to like Trivium concert, and then the same similar thing happened, and I was like, oh god, I'm old now. Well, I'm not yet, but like that was like the thing where I was like, well, I just the thing that I would like enjoy and I like doing, like I can't really physically withstand that level of stress on my body anymore, like where you just get like bounced around. Um, oh yeah, good financial stability does wonders to mental health. It does. Like I would say that like definitely it does, especially like if you are past like um, if you're past your 20s, like you're out of school, I feel like it makes people actually like more easygoing, more liberal, and also more mentally stable. Like I don't have any science to prove it, but that's my assumption that is that actually when people become more stable, they're more willing to share, they're more willing to do things, and they're more willing to both work on themselves and like spend some time resting. Because like when I was, for context, like when I was in a university in Canada, I was in the Vancouver area, and if you know anything about Vancouver area, is that it's very expensive, and housing there is very expensive. Back then it wasn't like that expensive, but it was very expensive still. And now it's so expensive that we have students, like there was on the news, there was a guy who's flying from Calgary to Vancouver to UBC. Like that's how expensive the housing is, that it's cheaper for you to fly from a different city to Vancouver than to rent in Vancouver. Um, so when we lived there, we lived in like a in like a questionable housing situation. So we lived in the studio. It was like in a very it's like it was like this like rental building between the car sales lots, and like there was like the really big sex shop. And then there was the other side was basically a bunch of abandoned homes where homeless people lived, and then after that was social housing. And that was like a studio, and it was like me, my husband, and my cat. My landlord was a Russian lady. She was drinking way too much, and my neighbor was the guy who was like selling drugs to homeless people that were living like in the proximity of that. So that was the housing situation. Like, how can you be in that situation and be thinking that you are fully mentally stable versus like if I go to like now I live in Alberta. It's a town in nowhere. It has its own problems, but like it's like I don't worry about like going homeless. I don't worry about going and like living in my car, and things like that. Versus like if you're sitting in Vancouver and you're like half a paycheck away from like going living in your car next month, it's not going to make you a happy person or a mentally healthy person. And then once you reach like your 30s, if you're in the same situation, then it both turns people more conservative as well as it turns them, because they like try to close down, like they try to like grab things towards themselves, and in my opinion at least. And then after that, it also makes them more prone to like addiction issues, alcoholism, drugs. That's a lot of stuff you see on Canadian reserves and in rural Canada. Because like that's the thing, like if your like life overall is difficult, it's gonna affect everything, not just like financial stability, but like all of your health is gonna go out the window. Bernie rubles, yeah, they can pay me in rubles. I cannot remember if you mentioned in a previous video, have you heard of the theory that we no longer live under capitalism, but instead we live under a techno-feudalism system and society? I've heard of that idea. I don't necessarily agree with that yet. I think that we're heading towards it. Like, I think that or maybe it depends, like if you are, like, let's say, I think if you're living in the Silicon Valley or like in Seattle, like in some American cities, which are pretty much controlled by the corporations, like where corporations have stronger bargaining power than the citizens of those cities, you already kind of live in techno-feudalist society. For majority of the countries, though, like for the majority of the West, I don't think it is true yet. Do I think we're moving towards that? Probably. If we don't turn, yeah, I think that's where we're heading, at least for some time. Thoughts on IP copyright. I know copyleft sources software exists, but it doesn't seem to achieve any societal change. I would think it might be possible to do something similar that would in that world. Okay. For example, IP that is free to use for co-ops, non-hierarchical organizations. I'm obviously like I'm like a leftist creator. I'm against copyright. I'm against copyright. I even like every time I have a tea, you get to be hit in the microphone. That's how this stream is going. I'm against copyright. I even say like you can free to like use my work and use my videos and like whatever, just let me know. I would prefer to like either know or get a credit, but like in terms of like getting it out there, like whatever. So I do not like copyright, especially like I think copyright is the big issue in music. We started this with a question of like, or is there going to be any classic literature going forward, which I think literature would be, but music, that's hard question, because the problem with music is that you cannot play, like you pretty much like your copyright lasts so long that the songs that which should become classics cannot become classics because they are restrained under copyright. In terms of software, I think like the open source currently, like we have it, has the issue that it is often not very working software, in part because like everything takes money to do. So you have to pay people money. You have to pay people money. That's the thing. So sometimes when you have open source software that will be done by either volunteers or people who have simply like, you have not just to be willing to volunteer, you have to have time to volunteer and capacity to volunteer. And it often results in products which are not really good, though some of them are good. Like, for example, I'm streaming on OBS. OBS is a free software. It's good. So it can work. The thing is, in the currently as it is now, it's hit or miss. But I do generally oppose to ideas of copyright. Okay, it's 11 o'clock. Should we take a break? I need, I have had like about like half a gallon of tea now, so I need a break. I'll be back in about 5. You can keep the chat going. I'll come back. We'll talk a little bit more about Tenet Media and about how Dave Rubin ended up there. Oh yeah, the world runs on Linux, which is true. Like a lot of the like core IT infrastructure is actually running on Linux, not on Windows, which is open source. Linux, not Windows. So, okay, I'll be back. 5 minutes. Keep yourself entertained. Actually, maybe less than that. So, I'll be back in a minute. I'm back. Welcome back. Uh, Oh, the chat character limit kind of reduces my ability to clarify what I'm trying to say. I don't know if I can modify it. I know I can like block some of you guys' words if you want. But I don't think I can modify the... let me go to settings. No. I'm also like not very good in any of technology. Like I started YouTube, I had like zero clue on how to do anything related to equipment, which kind of shows, especially in the earlier videos, but like no editing skill, no software, no equipment. I don't see how. Maybe for the next stream I'll figure that out, but I don't see how I can do that. Whoops. Okay. Where was I? Where's my chat? And even for that stream, like I had to call like I had to like text a couple of people that do streaming, like smaller streamers, just to like help me figure the things out. How many people here are Canadian? I don't know. Like actually, the most of, but I talk about a lot about like in a context. A lot of my videos are in the context of America. I have idea of a video which is specifically Canadian. The reason I'm not doing that because I know that it will flop. But a lot of people that like comment on my videos are either from Eastern Europe or like adjacent territories, or they are from Canada. So, but a lot of people that most of the people that watch are from America. Uh, oh, Texas here. Well, same can be said about Albertans. I did that joke earlier. We're Texas of Canada, so we keep our south in the north. Is another joke that we have. Mm, um, okay. We live in intellectual wasteland. That's true. Uh, yeah. So I think like in part like that is like because I note in my videos like a lot of Canadian creators that would not really specifically note that they are from Canada or where they're from. I think like if you think like of like Sisyphus 55 is Canadian, um, and then he doesn't really talk about that much. Um, I don't think We're in Hell talks about it that much. I don't think Sam ever says that he's Canadian. And then I'm like oversharing online about like where I come from, where I live, and things like that, which is not a good thing by the way. But don't overshare online. Um, yeah, and then in a way like I think like accent also kind of helps a lot of like I noticed that I'm prone to like a lot of science channels and cooking channels. They if they have like a Eastern European accent, I'm like, oh, I feel I feel kind of like it's like my homie, and I sign up. um, okay, the Dave Rubin. Dave Rubin has also been I think of all the people in Tenet group. Dave Rubin has been the biggest persona affected. It will be interesting to see because we don't like all of this is just like the currently like not exactly the speculation but almost speculation. It's not proven that they are directly like that these creators themselves. I mean, like obviously the company has been sponsored, but it's not clear yet like what is the level of involvement between like were they those money given directly to people, were they like distributed in some way, were they used for some projects, or did RT just like pour money in there and just say like yeah do whatever you want with it. Mm-hmm. Yeah, so not much about Dave Rubin. Let's see what Tenet Media says about him. Wait, there is like a tab that says talent. Oh, that's interesting. Okay, let's look in here. Meet the talent. I wouldn't call Tim Pool the talent here, you know. I don't know, but like other guys, like there is like this Tyler Hansen, field reporter. Don't know who he is. Benny Johnson, heard about him briefly. Don't know him. Matt Christensen, uh, political commentator from Montana. Well, news with focus on constitutional philosophy. That's interesting, but like not aware of him. But Dave Rubin is a really big personality. He's been like part of intellectual dark web back in 2010s. Like it was like one of the first things on the internet, and I think a lot of like right wing people. I was like at some point this was like of all intellectual dark web. Dave Rubin was like the closest person that I would like agree with on some things. Because he like there was like a period of my life where I was into libertarianism for like about maybe 6 months, and then I figured that it is like American libertarianism, like do not touch it with like do not touch it even with the pole. That's not. It's like it's not libertarianism. uh, yeah, but there was like a period when I was reading Nozick, and I was like, oh, like that. Those some of those ideas are great. And Dave Rubin was like advertising himself as being libertarian. This is where like I have like awareness of him, and of course he had like Rubin Report, which was like an intellectual dark web cradle thing. Best-selling author, comedian, sure. TV personality, best known for his political commentary. Over top-ranking talk, yeah, a host of the Rubin Report, over 1 billion views and millions of subscribers. Rubin Report is recognized as one of the most influential spaces for candid conversations about politics, polarizing issues, current events and more. And he did like in a way like he did I deal a lot with like right wing stuff, and there's like low effort content and like high effort content. Like Dave Rubin is like on the higher effort side, and I don't know if he do they have like what is this even like, this is the question, like because I'm looking at their website, and it's not like they're not a streaming service, they are not like Daily Wire. What are they? Let's look homepage. Network. They are a network of commentators that focus on Western political and cultural issues. Huh. Interesting. Fearless voices. Sure. You know, I would also not be afraid if Russia paid me like 10 million. There is little to be afraid when you have 10 million in your pocket. Yeah, so there is like no information on their webpage about like where what is connecting them. Um, mm, um, do we have anybody um, who knows what this is? Is what is a tenant? Is that, well, they say that they're a network. Are they a business? Let's see. Um, oh, it's who's I thought it's like I almost misread, and I thought it's saying that it's um, founded by Lauren Saturn. That would be interesting. No, founded by Lauren Chen. Uh, yes, we're reading Wikipedia now. Um, oh, Russian nationals is already here. Look, the paragraph on Russian nationals is already here. But it doesn't say what it is. Is featured 6 right-wing influencers, including Matt Christian. So I guess it's like a label network of heterodox commentators. I guess it's like a sign-up label. Like if you are a YouTuber, you can sign up to a management company or to a label that will like manage some things related to your content and the work that you do. Um, so good. I suppose they sign up with Russia. Um, Immigration, inflation, other topics related to domestic and foreign policy, blah, blah, blah. Yeah, but very little information, which I mean, like, I would expect if it was like a cleaner operation to be even less information than we currently have. Um, Canadian content creator. Yeah, I guess they're talking about Lauren Saturn. Yeah, yeah. So we have Canadian content creator behind company named in U.S. election interference. Oh, that's where it's coming from. It's coming from election interference indictment. This is very interesting. I guess we'll see how that unfolds. But I guess like they just sign up. So I like if the well, that's the thing, right? Because like if they are signing up with the like a label, that does mean that they are getting paid by that company. Even though like I understand that maybe like it doesn't say on the paper, hi, you're being sponsored by like FSB and you're being sponsored by Russia Today, and like you're getting all this money from that source. Like I don't think there will be any documents like that, but like if they are signed on this like it's not a because I was first thinking it's like a streaming service like creator group sort of thing, but no, like this is like more like a management company. So when they sign up with management company, you will sign a contract which may or may not tell you what to talk about, what not to talk about, and then the money that you get. So we'll see how that progresses. I mean, like this is a very interesting story. But as I say, I don't see it being like specifically harmful to like Russian propaganda machine. I think it is actually kind of helpful because now everybody will be confused about who's sponsored by who for quite some time. Ellis Capel, yeah, I like her work as well. Um, she's a I don't know where she's located currently, but she's originally a French video essayist. Mm. Most of your videos are super smart, and you are giving off some social professor vibes. But sometimes you drop off some videos like Jesus Meme compilation. Why is that? How do I explain myself in here? So I don't know if you watched that video, but it is kind of about still about far right. So like my main topics on the channel, which is like, I understand that's in part like impairs the growth of the channel when you jump over the topics. So there are like some things which I've been like dipping into. So I've been dipping into a lot of like social critique and like video games in a way, trying to do something like Jacob Geller is doing, but I don't think I like it. Like I like playing video games. I realize that I don't necessarily like to talk about them, or I don't like for a lot of work that he does. Like you have to play specific video games. Like he would be playing the video games which are like very niche. I I figured that I don't like that. I would just rather play it and talk about it with my friends. And then the other things which I'm interested into is like right wing politics and like a lot of like ideologies on the right side. So I come to this from a left wing approach, but like what would I say? Like my idea is there that if you want to ideologically oppose something like alt-right or far right or online right in general, that then you need to you need to be able to understand what they are and what their ideas are, not like in a way that like not in a way of like just dunking on them, because obviously those ideas are like they are debunkable and everything, but just understanding the thought process of these people is important. And then the second thing is important is that, well, for me as a creator, and that's like a path that I chose to go on to, is like trying to make that the videos which are also entertaining. So sometimes I will be wrapping things up in like unexpected ways. So like the whenever I talk about Christian nationalism, I don't want to just make a video about Christian nationalism. I want to wrap it up a little bit into like Jesus meme compilation. Is it working? We'll see. I guess we'll see. That's the part of the experiment. And it looks like, in a way, it looks like it's pretty inconsistent on the channel, but that's typical of smaller channels as well. So until I go into like hundreds of videos, like that might still be the issue where I'm jumping from topic to topic. And I do also like social commentary. I like it, but like the main reason I'm making and I like to make those videos is like education and understanding of online culture and right-wing culture and how they overlap. Mm-hmm. Oh, what do we have? Oh yeah, my favorite my favorite thing about American libertarianism is that there is a big overlap with neo-nationalism. Yes. So that was like the thing is, because when I was reading Nozick, I was like into my late teens, early 20s, I think, maybe early 20s. I think I'm I think the times get confused in my head, but I think it was like early 20s. So I was reading Nozick, and I found his ideas compelling. But the thing about Nozick is that even he himself, he dismissed all of his libertarian ideas. He's like kind of like an anarcho-capitalist guy in that frame. So he gave up on his ideas, which I also like, because he was doing that through his life, right? So he took 50 years to give up on his ideas, versus if you read him, you can give up on his ideas way faster. So if you read like 4 or 5 books of him in a row, you're like, oh, okay. And then yeah, and then like American libertarianism is very like, it's like this like don't thread on me type of thing, where you're like saying on one window you're saying don't threaten me, but then you go and you like take money from Russia and you sim for Trump. Not very libertarian. Let's call it that. Memes are the DNA of the soul. Yeah, So I've been taking. I've actually took a whole like university course recently, but I have like a connection to a professor in Russia, and I took the whole course on memetics. So I've been like now I'm equipped to take memes very seriously, which is like a funny thing. Like I really like the course. Like I would take it again. Um, it was like 6 lectures of people taking memes way too seriously, um, which was interesting. Uh, uh, yeah. Hmm, what else do we have? Um, oh yeah, like you can put your you can XYZ123. You can you can pour out pour out your question. You can also, if you want, you can like you can attach it to like in full length to the original post over there. But I think chat would be easier just because people can read it at the same time. So go ahead, go ahead. That's the copyright question, which I guess I didn't understand, or maybe I replied to a different thing because I was thinking about copyright in the morning. Oh, we'll see. Okay, I'll give you a second for the full question. Oh, that's a long question. Oh wow. Okay, go ahead. Mm. Oh, good. I understand. Fine. Okay. Let's see. Let's go over it. Current open source software, very hard to sell right, and it is usable. Okay. Um, hmm, uh, so it might make a sense to have some kind of network of co-ops and other horizontal organizations to license where all copyright material is. Um, that's an interesting concept. Like you mean like horizontal organizations that will be mm, oh no, like oh, okay, let me read further. Let me read the full thing first. Free to redistribute internally and still be able to sold externally. Um, this is an interesting idea. I think it is like yeah, it is kind of like a co-op, which there is like there is like two ways to think about it. Like obviously, like if you have like a horizontal organization that works that still participates in capitalism in a way, it's not like an anarchist organization. It's still it will still be a capitalist organization, but then on the other side, uh, how how do you do like because we don't have like currently we don't have a very solid frame, especially in the Western states, on how do you build an alternative? What is the alternative? How does it come to be? Because a lot of the online politics would be like, well, um, give up everything, I don't know, just like a snap. Like people expect the political and economic system to just like go from being like where it is now in this like semi-feudalist capitalist state and like turn into the whatever they please, right? Like either like social democracy or something like dictatorship of proletariat, or in case of anarchists, we want horizontal organizing everywhere. So political position online is that you just want to like snap and move. But in reality, I don't think it's like possible. I think that there has to be some sort of transitional system. So something like I think it is a great idea to have like a copyright-free system that is free within the system, but then can still finance itself externally. That would be interesting. I mean, it's an interesting idea. Mm. Yeah, like large amount. Yeah, like they would have gain access to large amount of free IP. If this would be a practical idea for getting there to be more co-ops and stuff in society. Yeah, I do have like even though I have like my pretty like radical beliefs. If we go into like deep into ideas that um, I have in my head, but like I am a firm supporter of anything that is resembling a world that we want to build. Like for example, like I live in a conservative area. Like there is no way for me to organize in the leftist group. Like there is no such thing as we'll have like in like I live closer to Calgary, but I can go to Edmonton too. There are like things there, but those organizations are very small and they are like not exactly politically engaged in a way that I want to engage. Like I'm not a type of person, like to be fair, I understand protests and like I think they're important. I'm not the person who likes to go there. I'm very like a type of doer person and not like I can't just like show up in the protest. I don't like it because I just like am there and that makes me pretty uncomfortable. As I said, like I don't like large groups of people. So just being there is like I don't know. But I do believe in organizing. So I am part of the I'm very involved in community gardens in the area and anything to do with gardening. None of that stuff is like leftist in a wider sense. Like none of this is what do I say? Like none of this is like even horizontal organizing. But this is the best I can do in my area. Like there is nothing in the absence of alternative. This would work. So like when we talk about co-ops, even though they might participate in the wider capitalist system, I think there's still a place for them. I think they're still necessary. Um, uh, Patreon and Nebula are co-op adjacent. I would be member of Nebula if Anna is there. I don't like. I had like a Nebula last year. I signed up under Jacob's gallery's link. I actually didn't specifically like it. Not because the content is good. Don't get me wrong. Like content there is really good. If there are things that interest you, I think you should go. But I'm not like a big fan of like streaming service, and the app is like not very usable. It's not very user friendly. Because like the YouTube is with all my objections to pretty much like running my content on the giant corporation. YouTube is and has been the most convenient platform to deliver content to the people, versus Nebula is only usable if you do that on TV, and I don't have a TV, so it's very hard to watch on phone. But they are co-op based. So I think it is a good idea. I like Patreon too, even though it also is like a corporate entity, but it has been very helpful towards my at least for my channel, because all I do with Patreon money is like I take it and I spend it on channel. Like it's not at the point where it like supports my living or anything, but just like having that knowledge that I have this money and I can like put it in to work, versus like doing my finances and taking part out of my paycheck and like seeing like, oh, how can I accumulate like or amortize that money over coming months. It's a different system, but like it's good to have like that sort of funding. Mm. Yeah, the idea is that as you would grow, the world would we would naturally get closer to copyright abolition. Yeah, it is kind of like what you're trying to like build is in a way a library, just like library with some financial component to it. But like once you have the system in place, and if you have any alternative funding streams, it might work, because libraries still like people get paid when they work in the libraries, but access to the content, to the books, is free. Um, so yeah, that's an interesting idea. Um, mm, okay. I find that any anti-capitalist alternative attempt, successful or not, is always imperfect, because it must acknowledge and work around ubiquitous capitalism. Yeah, like this is part of the problem, but in a way that it is like this is a system that we need to think through. And I'm a big fan of like if you go to like Anarch's channel and his modern anarchist series. I find them very interesting and very good work, because I don't think it's like specifically his idea, but he's a big proponent of it, of prefiguration. So which is building new in the shell of the old. I think that he refers to it as that specifically. I think of it as like building what you can. So the closer you can get, the better. Like it doesn't matter that you are like not like 100% like you're not living in the world where you want to live, right? Like you live in the world which has like capitalism, which has imperial wars, which has like corrupt and like very vertical government. Like this is the reality of life. You cannot deny it. So it's better to have the organization that is working for a long time and is able to achieve something than to have organization that is ideal but can't achieve anything and falls apart in 2 months, which is a lot of like what a lot of leftist organizing kind of is in real life. Does anyone know the app Libby? Oh, I have it. I really like it. It's a nice app. It allows you to borrow books from the library. I highly recommend it. I don't know if it's open source or not, but it's working great. I've read some books from Libby. I can access. Alberta has this like a library system where by having card in my little library, I actually have access to all books in all Alberta. So that has been very nice, and that saves a lot of money. Like especially if you read like a lot of books that I buy for the channel would be textbooks, so that saves quite a bit of money. And also I can like sneak into university library, which I try to get access, but the problem is I don't know why I don't like it and how that works, but since I finished university in BC, it's a different province, and I live in Alberta, I cannot go and get a card in the university that is not mine. I still can go and read it in there, but I cannot borrow a book, and I cannot get a library card. So, you know, window of possibility there. Yeah, idea of prefiguration. Yeah, I'm a very big of onto prefiguration too, because for me it's like it doesn't matter how idealistic the idea is. What really matters is can you achieve your goals in real life, and if you cannot, then like, What's your favorite kind of tea? I like black tea. Like I like the English breakfast, but this is rooibos, I think is the name. It's like African bush tea. And usually I take it without anything, but this was a little bit of honey because I try to keep it for the voice. So I'm drinking something that I'm not like typically drinking, but it's good for voice. Because I've been talking nonstop for 2 hours. I can be yapping for a really long time though. But yeah, like it's getting onto the voice. All right, and then I would prefer that we, unless we want to keep going, I think it would be good if we wrap up in the next about 15 minutes. What do I have to say in the end of it? Any more questions, suggestions, concerns, ideas? Why is everybody quiet suddenly? Did I discourage people from talking? Oh, was it discouraging? I hope not. But so I've been working on the next video. I'll start writing it this weekend, and that will take another maybe month and a half. I also will eventually, like that's my plan at least. It's not like set 100% yet, but it's set to 90%. I'll be making my way to Toronto. So I don't know if depending, it's only like brief visit for like about 2 days. So depending how that goes, I might maybe have like a little meet and greet there. I go there. We'll see if I can if you follow like Canadian creators, you know that G-Reg has like a studio there. So that's where I'll try to go. Not try to go, like I was invited, not just did not scare people. I don't try to break into there. I was invited, so I'll go there and we see how that goes. That will be really interesting because living in the far end from any civilization, it's been hard to me to find any other creators in the area, so that will be interesting. And if I have like 3 days there, maybe I'll make a small meeting and like a small get together. What are my thoughts on postmodern theory to analyze the current media landscape? It's like a hard academic question. Uh, I mean, my idea is that you can use pretty much any critique to analyze current media landscape. Uh, is postmodernism better? I don't know. I'm like a big. Well, I don't know how to answer that question. I think I'm too stupid for that. Or it's been too many hours of me yapping. I'm sorry. I don't think I can get an educated answer to that one. But I think any frame of analysis would be good for media analysis. It just depends what you want to do with it. Um, um, okay. What do we have? Mm, uh, have you heard of system justification theory? It's a random thing I stumbled upon. Helps explain some people act against systems locally where they are. Interesting. Um, is that like um, a theoretical framework for like how you okay. So this is the people have several underlying needs which vary from individual to individual. They can be satisfied by the defense and justification of status quo, even that the system may be disadvantageous to certain people. Yeah, that's interesting. I'm a solid believer in that. People have relational needs to be met and manifest as ideological support for the prevailing structure of social, economic, and political norms. Yeah, I can stand by that. Where people, of course, people justify things in a way, like what would I say here? Like, well, part of it is the sometimes people like politically like disengage politically. That's, for example, something that is it was talk speaking about Russia. Like this is a typical perspective within Russia. Like people live in disattachment from political world. Like so, it's not like you're. It's not the same as Americans saying that like, oh, your both of your candidates are the same. It's no, like you are completely disengaged from the system. Like you live your life and the government lives its life, and it's almost like you're in two different countries in a way. Like you're geographically located in the same geography, but those are like two different planes of existence. And a lot of this will be like, so like this inability to in a way to like connect these two planes of reality would also be causing a lot of justification of like why what is happening is either okay or does not require you to participate, or why is it better for you to not participate. In of course in Western states that also is weighted down by the fact that people do widely benefit from capitalist system. So in a way, like it has like its downsides, but people will be like, oh, saying like, things are not, maybe they could have been better, but I have food and I have a car and I have a house, and therefore I will just not bother about like trans people and like Palestinians and whatnot. So I do think that system justification theory is, I think it's valid. I think it will be valid like differently towards different person, like it will be to different magnitude, but it's good. Like I mean, like it's a valid theory. Um, I like watching video essays where a creator is clearly personally interested in the topic, regardless of what it's about. Thank you. Yeah, that's how I try to make videos. I think like there is like maybe a couple where I try to, especially at the start of the channel, I try to do on the topics which would be more popular, perhaps. I try to find the balance between being taking topics that are popular versus topics that I want to discuss. Because if I just go with what I want 100% of the time, that will be that will impair the growth quite a bit. But I try to at least either take the topic that is popular and give it a different perspective, which will be like you'll see like on the Manosphere. I have something a little bit unique over there, even though I watched like last 2 weeks I've been watching so much both video essays about manosphere and actual manosphere content, but I think I have a very interesting take on that. Just um, that's something like the topic of healthcare is very dear to me. So we'll see what happens on the overlap between manosphere and healthcare. Isn't Peterson coming up with postmodernism using AI bots? You mean Jordan Peterson? Uh, he's cutting the edge of thoughts. I don't know. I didn't check on Jordan Peterson in a while. Um, Last time I checked on him, he looked like he's back to doing his drugs or something. And after that, I decided to abandon him there. I was like, okay, sir, we'll see what happens to him. How does the more geographically distant regions of Russia work out? I feel like everything I hear about Russia is mostly frequently near Moscow or, yeah, good observation. The what happens outside of MKAD? MKAD is like the circular road outside of Moscow. So I've never been. So I'm like from the deep, like south. So you go like down to the map, like with Georgia border. And I never was east. But the thing is, Moscow will have very strict control over what happens in the regions in terms of government. Now, are people in any way involved in that stuff? That's a bigger question because one of the things that is historical to Russia is that people just live their life and they try to disattach from the government no matter where they are, even in Moscow. So even in Moscow, you have like ruling class which coexists on the body of like Moscow, and they're not always talking to each other or interfering with each other. Mm-hmm. Uh, Peterson was too Bible heavy, however, so while she was cooking. And I had to pretend that I couldn't understand that. well, Jordan Peterson is like he's been sliding to somewhere, like where he has been sliding. It's hard to say yet because he keeps sliding. Every time I check, it's like a little bit more and more unhinged. I think he did become. He was like religious. I think he became significantly more religious. Like in terms of like he is developing actual faith. When he started doing YouTube stuff, he was like looking at religion from the standpoint of psychology and like analysis. But now he's like deep into trenches, like advocating man go to church, find yourself a wife, go to church, pray daily, stuff like that. Slippery Jordan. Yeah. That's what happens if you don't watch your Ben's addictions. I'm I have like a lot of thoughts about addiction too, but it's not like compatible into good video yet. But yeah, I'm a big in big opposition to anything to do with drugs and addiction. So Jordan is a good expression of what happens when you when things go sideways with drugs. Yeah, where are we? So if we're good, I would just wish everybody a good weekend. Enjoy your weekend. Enjoy your week. Um, in interview with Musk. By the way, I didn't watch his interview with Musk. Maybe I will watch that. I need to like get myself mentally ready for that. I don't think you can just go on and just I know both of them, right? Like I have very low opinion about the. Oh yeah, go ahead. Go ahead with questions. We'll stay until questions keep going. The yeah. So like, I have like kind of low opinion about Musk, where I think that he's just like not exactly low. I think like he's a great example of like dissociation, social dissociations through wealth. So he's very rich and he is trying to be a normal guy so hard. Like he's trying to be a normal guy so hard, like where tries to be a scientist, and he tries to be a inventor, and he tries to be an engineer, and he tries to be a science guy. Now he's like in the position, and then he tries to be like a social media celebrity, and now he's trying to be like Joe Rogan, I suppose that's like next phase of like Elon Musk. So like he's trying really hard to like find his place as a normal person, but because of how detached he is from normal people, he just can't, unfortunately for him. Yeah, so Peterson and Musk should be something interesting. mm. Is Jordan Peterson becoming esoteric Christian Union prophet? That's a good description. That's kind of what he is. Oh yeah, he's also trying to be a ruler. Yeah, he tries to be a politician too. Yeah. So he can't. The problem is he can't participate in U.S. politics at the level that he wants because one, nobody's gonna elect him. Second, he's dysfunctional, and third, he's not American. But like he's trying to like fill those social roles. Like he tries to fit himself into the mold, but he can't. Yeah, XYZ. I'll wait. That's fine. It didn't go through. I don't see it. Um, then we'll be free to go. I have gardening to do. Come on. It's so hot. Like it's so hot. It's still 30 degrees here in Alberta. 30 being Celsius. Uh, Not to confuse my Canadian viewers with American viewers with Canadian systems of measurement, where your body temperature in food is in Fahrenheit and street is in Celsius. Trump wants him to reorganize the U.S. government. I think on Trump's sense, like Peter Thiel is probably more influential. I don't think Elon Musk has many ideas of his own, to be fair to him. Like, who like Peter Thiel is like very influenced by Moldbug and by Yarvin. So, and he is very, in return, very influential over Trump and Trump's policy. But like in terms of Musk, I think like he's just like, I mean, it sounds like a little sad, but I think he's just like trying to become human. Like, and then it just doesn't work out. Like, so he'll be like pulling money and effort into all those different positions, and none of them work out. Is it clear to anyone what percentage of the left is anarchist MLs, just left in some vague sense, random people with weird ideas? Oh, thank you for money. Money is always welcome, from any source. I accept rubles too. The what percent of the so like the percent of the leftists themselves, I think it depends where you are. Like for example, if you are in America-ish, or like North America, like Canada, America, Marxist Leninism will not be popular, or even state socialism will not be that popular. Socialist democracy is. And then I think like in terms of like in more conservative area, because I live in conservative area, this like vaguely leftist anarchist ideas like libertarian, be they capitalist or not capitalist, will be fairly common. But distribution wise, it's hard to say, because online also, like how people act online, they choose like in a way politics is your part of your identity. Like, so it's like tags and flags, and I identify as anarcho-primitivist. Versus in reality, these people will be just like vaguely on the left. Oh, chat moderation doesn't like the word anarchist. I will look into that. That one I can control. What the fuck is a kilometer? A kilometer is 1,000 meters. Not that it explains it. Yeah, but like I feel like Canada is a little bit even weirder, because we use all systems. Like we use like all metric systems. Like there is like old, there's metric system, there's imperial, there's UK system still in place from like back days. Oh, it's crazy. Oh yeah, Trump Musk could use AI to find a more efficient structure of U.S. government. Interesting, but I don't think it's like gonna happen. I feel like this is just like Trump at his best, being like very populist and like throwing things out. Because he's like he likes like to talk about that sort of stuff, but then when he sits in the office, like his policies are the same as like Bush. Mm, okay. Um, and I think we'll wrap up on that. Thank you very much for everybody who participated. And I will try to finish this chat, and I don't know how to turn it off. So, so yeah, thank you very much. And where? How do I turn it off? um, well, now I guess we'll have to stream forever. Okay. Oh, okay. No, I think I found the button. All right. Thank you very much. And bye bye.